safe to say Vincent Goodwill gets around like Tupac in 1993. All right, that's number one. I mean, my man is in these podcast streets here. We're glad to have him back. Two, just on Magic Johnson, who, you know, we're kind of reliving the Lakers' glory days on Winning Time right now on HBO Max. But, man, y'all sent me the good old Basketball Reference just to refresh my memory. From 1983-84 to 90-91, dude never averaged lower than 11.5 assists a game. It was regularly at 12 and 13 assists a game. And God only knows what he would have done had he not announced and retired with HIV at, 31, 32 years old. And so I think, Vinny, I wonder if Michael knows this. I'm fond of saying that Michael Jordan is underrated because in the LeBron James GOAT conversation or debate with Jordan, Jordan's all-around game gets overlooked in an effort to celebrate LeBron's all-around game. Most people acknowledge that Kareem oftentimes has been left out of the GOAT conversation. So I'll use that same word with you. Have we managed to underrate Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time? Is he underrated, you think, these days?
I think we don't talk about him with enough layers. I think we simplify to saying the greatest point guard of all time and just ending it there. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't like he's just Dr. Dre just making beats. You know what I mean? He rapping too. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot going on here, and I don't know if we've given him his proper appreciation, in large part because of how he retired and the figure that he became. So it becomes much easier to compartmentalize him as, oh yeah, he's the greatest point guard of all time, and then he's the guy that has all these other things going on. I mean, he came into a perfect situation when you got Kareem there, you got Norm Nixon there, and you're going to a quote-unquote championship level team. But make no mistake about it, he was the guy driving that championship team. That 3 MVPs in 4 years run, you can stack that up with anybody at any level of any era in NBA history. 87, 89, 90. He won 2 championships, 3 MVPs, and literally, and think about it, we're talking about a guy who went from not being able to shoot to being a pretty good three-point shooter, a really, really good free throw shooter, and then commandeering an entire offense. Basically, when they say, you know what, Kareem, you can't do this anymore. We're going to turn this over to Magic. And Magic said, you know what? That's cool. I'll average 24, 13, and 8 and lead us to 65 wins and a ring over Boston. Like, how many people can honestly say that? Yeah, I think he's slightly underrated. Especially, here's the other part, y'all. The game back then, similar to Michael, similar to Bird, similar to Isaiah, the game back then was made for the big man. The rules and everything else was tailored towards giving you everything that a 7-footer could give you. And you had all these smaller guys, smaller in stature, you know, by and large. Like Magic wasn't, you know, he played center in that one game, but he wasn't a center. Like, the game wasn't built for the swingman. The game wasn't built for the point guard. These guys just dominated it in spite of the league not tailoring its rules to benefit them.
Okay, y'all. I mean, okay, this is great. This is great. All right. Let's talk about the 6'10".
I feel like you about to go somewhere where you don't need to be going. I hear it in your voice.
I need to go there.
I hear it in your voice.
It does like he's champing at the bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 6'10" and unders because it's a different conversation. Like, you bring in Wilt, you bring in Kareem, they are worthy and they are in this GOAT conversation, but we just kind of look at them differently. They really are in a different stratosphere. Just you know, when you're over 6'10", it's just different.
Right.
So we're talking about Magic and Bird and LeBron and Jordan. I mean, I think that's a fairer framework.
Kobe.
I would say Magic. I'd say Magic was athletic, but he was not an explosive. I don't think Magic was an explosive athlete. He was athletic, but he wasn't explosive. It wasn't like Jordan was explosive. If you go back and watch those, if you watch Jordan versus Magic, I think it was Christmas Day, maybe 88 or something like that. It was a great game. They went back and forth, and the Bulls won it. Jordan was like a panther out there. He was just unbelievable. And Magic was very good, but Jordan was next level. Young LeBron was explosive, powerful, fast. Magic was
37-year-old
athletic.
LeBron is explosive, powerful.
Yeah. So I don't really see.
What's your
if I had
conclusion?
to-
Let me hear
I
your
would-
conclusion,
if I
because
had
I
to
feel
rank
like
him-
you're
if I
going
had
on
to
an
rank him-
off-ramp somewhere. Where you going?
I say he's third. I think he's third. Among
You think
those three,
Magic is
I
the
think
third?
Jordan.
You're
I
talking
think
about
Jordan is the most explosive
non-big man.
athlete. Jordan's the most explosive athlete I've ever seen on a basketball.
Okay.
Just explosion.
Okay.
Jordan's first.
Goat, but when you say
LeBron's
third, you're
second.
talking about GOAT. You're talking about GOAT. GOAT under
I'm talking about
non-center
in
GOAT.
terms of athleticism, I go Jordan, LeBron, and then I go Magic. As far as greatness, I think Jordan and LeBron are here, and I think Magic is there. Not that Magic is bad, but I don't think Magic. I think LeBron is a better player than Magic. I'll just come out and say it. LeBron's a better player than Magic Johnson, and that's not to say Magic was bad, but LeBron doesn't have the passing ability of Magic. But LeBron did everything as well as Magic, if not better. So and
He's not a better
still doing
wait,
it.
No, he's not a better shooter than Magic Johnson.
Yes, he
Magic
is.
routinely.
Yes, he is.
Magic shot 90% from the line. Michael Hawley. Do not go
Okay,
to
okay,
basketball.
free throw
Not a better.
shooting?
Magic's a better
Free
free
throw
throw
shooter?
shooter. Okay,
Okay,
Magic's a better
sure.
free throw shooter. Okay.
Okay,
But the
okay.
game, but you know
look,
the game has evolved,
but
and
hold on.
LeBron has added
But
the
Jordan,
three-pointer.
but Jordan is a better free throw shooter than LeBron. But would you say Jordan's a better perimeter shooter
Yes.
than LeBron? Even though
Yes,
he's
because
better? Really?
Because Michael Jordan was the best mid-range shooter of his time during the time where you could hand check guys
about
and
distance?
push people around. The
How
game
about
wasn't
distance,
built.
though?
The game wasn't
Game's
built
evolved.
for that
and
back then.
LeBron has evolved with it.
If you're asking me that if you put Michael Jordan in today's game and say, Michael, can you be a 40% three-point shooter? I'd say yes. Like, would you bet against that? A guy who came into the league and really couldn't shoot and turned himself to a passable shooter and turned himself into a really good shooter and then turned himself into a deadly shooter in the triangle. And when you say someone is a better basketball player, I will give you athletically. Absolutely. LeBron is the most gifted athlete, in my opinion, to ever play basketball. But the name of the game is basketball, not run and jump. Not run and jump. There's a difference in how you use your athleticism. There's a difference in how you use your athleticism, because sometimes athleticism isn't needed. I can point to Larry Bird and say that his quick twitches and his eye reflexes are more important than how quick and fast he was off of his feet. As long as you know where you need to get to and how you need to get there, I don't care that you're doing it in a Ferrari or if you're doing it in a van.
Yeah. I love your question.
Well, that's the dude.
No, I was just gonna say,
ahead,
Mike, just real quick. I love Vinny's question about would I bet against Jordan. First of all, that phrasing alone, my answer should automatically be no. Would I bet against Jordan? No. But I would bet against Jordan being a 40% three-point shooter is pretty good. Just for context, I don't think Trae Young, who is a great shooter, I don't think Trae Young is a 40% three-point shooter for his career.
Hold on.
Man.
Okay. I will give you this. When Michael returned in 96, you can check it, Michael Smith, on your computer. When Jordan returned in 96, his first full season back, 41%.
Why do I feel like that was like some nerd shade? Why do I?
No.
You
I
can
know
check
your
it, Michael
laptop
Smith, on your
up.
computer.
No, I know you got your laptop up. That's all.
All right.
And I believe
it's all
also in
good.
91,
Speaking
he
of
shot
shooter,
40% from
But
three.
speaking of shooters, though, the dude I wanted before we move on to contemporary conversations, the dude I did want to bring up, and you shouted him out in the podcast with Bo, and I still got to listen to the whole thing. It's always good when y'all together. Was Larry Bird? You talking about baddest man on the planet, 3 MVPs himself in the 80s. It took me a long time. Right. It took me a long time. There was a little Stevie Wonder action there. It took me a long time to cede starting small forward duties to LeBron James on my all-time team. Because I was one of the last people to give that up to LeBron over Larry Bird. You shouted out Larry Bird in the overall GOAT conversation. Was that to suggest that you still think you still have Bird above LeBron, or you just wanted to mention like, hey, Bird doesn't get the love he deserves, much the same way that Magic doesn't get as much love as he deserves?
I think it depends on what we talk about when we talk about greatest. Are we talking about longevity or are we talking about peak? And if we're talking about peak, Bird's 3 MVP run where he wasn't taking as many threes as he could have taken, even though he was still shooting what he was shooting. His numbers match up to the best of LeBron. Now, LeBron was LeBron was a better one-on-one defender. Bird was as equal a passer. Bird was a better shooter. And so I think it's a lot more closer than what people think. And then in that fourth year that Bird didn't win MVP, that year was better than the third year that he won MVP. It was just that magic average 24, 13, and 8. So it's not like I think sometimes with guys like that played in that era, they only played 13 years. So the totals get inflated a little bit in this era. And for me, sustained excellence is great. It's wonderful. But how great are you when you are at your best? That's the conversation that I'd much rather have than an accumulation of statistics.
Yeah.
I know it sounds bad, but I think when you're talking about peaks, we're having a completely different discussion. And Bird is just as high up in there as LeBron James.
Yeah,
no,
you're right.
That's fair. That's a fair place to leave it.
You know what? And I'll leave it. I'll give it back to you, Mike. I'll just say this. That's a good point, Vinny, on Larry. You know, Larry was robbed like the last few years of his career between the foot injuries, heel surgery, between the back injury. It was just tough. Like even Larry hurt. One of the best games I saw Larry Bird play, it was his last season, 91-92 season.
Against Portland.
And he could, against Cleveland in the playoffs. That was his last series. They lose to Cleveland in the conference semifinals. He could not move. They really positioned him at the top of the key, and all he did was like point to people and dish dimes. He had like 14 assists. I mean, he was just a guy, because of his toughness and because of his smarts, he was still able to be effective even though his body betrayed him. So, yeah, it'd be better to have this conversation. If he had like 3 or 4 more healthy seasons, now we having a nice little barroom brawl over the best player ever.
But once again, you got to consider the time. You got to consider the time. And think about it like this. Think about how much we've progressed as a nation. 3 brothers on here talking about putting Larry Bird on the wall. What would Sal be saying right now? Sal and Pino. You know what I mean? Think about what we're doing right now.
What would Bugging Out be saying?
What would Bugging Out?
So listen, we gotta get to current times real quick before we get you out of here, Vinny. I know you got somewhere to be. You got places to see and people to do.
Thank you, Blaine.
So speaking of longevity, speaking of longevity, most points per game by a player in his 19th season or later. LeBron, 33.3. Kobe, 17.6. Kareem, 14.6. And that is where LeBron will end the season with the second most points per game ever, 30.3 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, 6.2 assists per game, 52% field goal at age 37. He is now done for the season. Michael Holley, I guess you spoke it into existence. It happened gradually and game by game, but LeBron has officially shut it down. He is done for the season. In addition to that, Anthony Davis had some thoughts. He had some stuff to say to Dave McMenamin, saying he doesn't know what the Lakers are thinking when it comes to trading him. And he pushed back on the narrative around him that he is injury prone, saying, what was I supposed to do about somebody falling into my leg or stepping on somebody's foot? And last but not least, just trying to do all the Lakers housekeeping here as they head for summer vacation. Last but not least is Russell Westbrook, who Mark Stein said the Hornets are a team to watch. I'm like, why would they be a team to watch when they're already a team to watch? Why would they ruin it? Russell Westbrook may be concerned, according to Ramona Shelburne, with the stigma of a contract buyout. That his prideful nature could prevent him from accepting a contract buyout from the Lakers, and that people close to Westbrook expressed pessimism that he would accept a buyout. So having laid all of that out for context, Vincent, we haven't talked to you since the Lakers have been officially eliminated. Take it wherever you want to go. Any of those storylines or anything else you want to add to this flaming pile of crap, this dumpster fire known as the Los Angeles Lakers?
I'll try to hit it and quit it as quickly as possible. But what I will say is, with Russell Westbrook, did he not see the way that where the league was going for the past 4 to 5 years, 6 or 7 years? Like, this is not just the culmination of this season playing with Anthony Davis and LeBron, and it not the math not mathing. But he refused to adjust and adapt his game to where the league was going. He was always going to be stubborn. So, no, are you surprised that Russell Westbrook is worried about what people are going to think, in terms of what his value is? Because basically over the past few years, he could only measure his value in terms of triple doubles, because it wasn't in terms of winning basketball. It wasn't in terms of winning plays. And now he does not want to be the scapegoat. Now, just because he's wrong doesn't mean that he's the only person that's wrong there. Yes, Anthony Davis, there has to be some responsibility. Even if there's not fault, there's responsibility in how you take care of your body. If you talk to people around, there will be people who say, Anthony Davis is not as serious about this as he should be, as much as his generational talent dictates that he should be. Just because you have that level of talent, you're gifted and everything else, does not mean that you are satisfied with one championship. So I think he might be one of those guys.
To interject real quick, I'm sure you read the article and saw the quotes. You're calling BS on everything he said, saying that the injuries could have been worse if not for the work that he put in. He knows how committed he is in all season. Sounds like you're saying, not really, dude. You don't even really, some people think they're working hard and they're really not. They don't even know what hard work looks like. Are you suggesting that what he's saying and the pushback against the criticism is he doesn't have credibility in that area?
I put it like this. As someone who watched Grant Hill go through injuries and watched Penny Hardaway go through injuries, there's some things that, your body is just built a certain way. But once you start having these repeated injuries, and we see that your best basketball came when you hit a 3-month break, that says something to me. That's not to say that, hey, you know what, just because you grew a foot in a span of a year in high school, and I'm sure the bones weren't, adding up correctly and everything else, I'm sure there's some blowback from that. But I do think that there has to be some level of accountability, if not fault. Maybe he feels like if he takes some accountability, it looks like, hey, I'm not taking care of myself. But you always have to look at yourself, especially when you're on the same agency with LeBron James. You're not asking, hey, man, what you doing to keep yourself upright? Or what were you doing to keep yourself upright when you were keeping yourself upright? At this point now, can you count on LeBron James to play more than 60 games in a year? Can you count on Anthony Davis to play more than 50 games in a year? I would take that bet.
Vinny, I'm going to ask you this, and I can't believe I'm going to ask you this question. I have been, as Michael knows, I've been a pretty consistent Anthony Davis critic, but it's not even criticism anymore. It's more comedy. I'm just amused by Anthony Davis more than anything now. But I went back and I looked at the terms of the trade and just reviewed that trade they made with New Orleans. So it was, they gave up Lonzo Ball, they gave up Brandon Ingram, they gave up Josh Hart, and they gave up a bunch of draft picks to New Orleans. And they got Anthony Davis. Do you think they won that trade? I mean, I know they won a bubble championship. Do you think they won that, the Lakers? Did they win that Anthony Davis trade? Just all things considered, everything it cost them, where they are right now. Yeah, they got a title out of it. Was that the right move to make?
Okay, you tell me what other move that they were going to make. You tell me where New Orleans is right now, even though they're in theoretically a better spot
ahead
because
of the
they'll be in the play in them. Yeah, but they don't have a championship on the back of that.
They got a better future.
Are we sure? Are we sure?
Yes.
Are we sure about that? Are we sure? Because look, I like their coach better. I like a couple of their pieces better. But to say they have a better future as if you're going to bank on them to win a championship before the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm not even a Laker fan by any stretch. But the Lakers, traditionally, guys, found ways to get stuff done. I've never seen it happen with New Orleans. Not to say that it can't happen. But to me, when you make the trade and you get the best player in the trade and you win a championship out of it, regardless of what happens on the back end, you kind of won the trade.
Do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think Anthony Davis now, and look, I don't know what to answer. That's why I'm asking you. You talk to folks all the time. Anthony Davis, if the Lakers were to move him, he said, hey, I don't know what they're going to do. As a matter of fact, I love the quote. He goes, I don't know. What, I don't know what they're going to do. But if they were to trade him, would they get the same type of haul that they gave up to get him? Like, could they go to any team right now and say, hey, Anthony Davis is yours for the taking? What you going to give me? What kind of goodies are you going to give me in return? What could they reasonably expect?
Well, I don't think that you would trade Anthony Davis for spare parts. I think you would probably try to trade him for another star. The problem is he's not 25 years old anymore. He's 29. and he's had injuries all these years that he's been in LA. Here's the dirty little secret, you guys. We've been talking about the future with Anthony Davis for quite a long time. What if we've seen the best of Anthony Davis? What if he's not going to be, even if he's a healthier player, what if he's not going to be a better player, a more dominant player than the one that we've seen already? When you look at the defensive numbers, when you look at the shooting from the bubble, when you look at the rebounding, he looks like a guy who does not exert his force onto the game as well as he could, even when he was in New Orleans and didn't have the pieces around him. So at 29 going on 30, what can you reasonably expect from someone like this who has this amount of mileage on his body? He already has his ring. He already has his money. He's expressing some morsel of doubt about where his future holds. If you get traded from LA, you tell me how things go up for you from there, because I have yet to see it.
Vinny, always a pleasure to see you, brother. Pleasure to listen to you. This is great basketball conversation, man. And we will talk to you next week. It'll be play-in time. We see you next week. Play-in tournament. Big one tonight, Cavs and Nets.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.